This video I'm going to show you how you can tell if a Spotify playlist that you're on is fake, whether it's botted or whatever. I'm going to show you a few different ways to do this, one of which I'm going to show you some data inside of Spotify for artists, and then also we're going to use a cool free tool that also has a paid plan that you can use to diagnose playlists. So first of all, inside of Spotify for artists, this song I don't have any playlisting going on it, but I want to show you some key metrics that you can track for your Spotify playlist. Now, it's totally normal to be on a playlist. You get a bunch of new streams for a month, and then the month after you're kicked off the playlist, it goes back to almost nothing. That's even for editorial playlists. You get a big bump when you're on the playlist, you get kicked off. It's like almost like nothing happened. So that's normal. That's not an indicator that the playlist is fake. What is an indicator if the playlist is fake is if the data is too good. Meaning if I go to releases here, and if you were to see really, really good engagement metrics, like really high save rate, really high playlist rate, because if someone's running fake playlist stuff, they might artificially inflate the saves or the playlist ads to make it look really good. But playlisting, even editorial or algorithmic playlisting, doesn't have good engagement rates because it's playlisting. So if it is really good, then you should be suspicious. Now, another thing that should make you suspicious is if you see an obscenely high stream per listener count. I would say on average for most people for a new song, this is between like a 2 and a 3, maybe a 4. Every so often you have something really phenomenal and it's like, a 7 or an 8. But if you're seeing like on a daily rate, like you see how this day by day rate is like 1.4, 1.5, 1.3. There's a 2 here one day. If you have any day where it's like 10, 15, and it's like consistent, they're probably just running bots in a playlist and looping your music over and over again. So those are two incredibly obvious things that you can see. Really, really good engagement metrics coming from playlisting and really, really high stream per listener. Now, if we look inside of these stream stats for a song, another dead giveaway that whatever playlisting company you hired or whatever company you hired, doesn't even have to be playlisting, a dead giveaway that it's fake is if it's in the other category here. Because this other thing is for like smart TVs and watches and stuff like that. So this will never be more than a couple percentage points. If you hire a company and this shoots up to 50%, they're botting your plays. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news here. Now, on the flip side, if you hire someone and they tell you they're doing playlisting, that should show up here. So if it shows up anywhere else, like that's a dead giveaway that one, they lied to you. So even if they're not using bots, they lied about how they're promoting your song. Or if they tell you they're using ads and then all the streams come up here, again, they lied to you. So these are all like just dead giveaways that should be like screaming in your face obvious whenever something happens. Now, there's some more subtlety to this where you might have, you're on a playlist, the engagement rate is typical from playlisting, whereas meaning it's pretty bad. It's all showing up in the playlisting category, so that checks out. But next you go to locations, and this is where it can be a little subtle, and artists often have a bad interpretation of what to look for here. A lot of artists will assume that, it's all coming from the United States, therefore it's good. And unfortunately, that's not the case. In fact, if it's all coming from any one country, I would be very suspicious. Now, again, like just because something comes from the United States doesn't mean it's not botted. The only country in the world that has more bot traffic than the United States is China. So, the United States has a lot of bots because we have a lot of servers in the United States. So just because it's from the US doesn't mean it's good. If you have any country, let's say this was 10,000 streams from Mexico, and then the next biggest country was like 300, I'd be very concerned because that's like it's being vastly skewed to one country. If you're getting added to a playlist, you should have, there's going to be some countries that have the biggest share, of course. But it shouldn't be like 95% one country. So keep an eye for that. And on the same note, it shouldn't be all one city. Or it shouldn't be mostly small cities that people don't live in. For example, Mexico City, Sao Paulo is the biggest city in the Western Hemisphere. It's bigger than New York City. It's bigger than LA. So it makes sense Sao Paulo is going to constantly show up. Mexico City is a big city. I don't know a lot of these cities off the top of my head. But if you were running some kind of playlisting, remember playlisting, it should be either organic or promoted with ads, right? If it's run by bots, those bots are from servers. And so if you see a bunch of cities that are from random places and you're doing playlisting, then it's probably sketchy. you know. So just keep an eye out for whatever pops up. And I'm not saying like, you know, if you have 700 and then 353 or something like that. I'm saying imagine if it's like 10% is coming from one city and it's like, I don't know, some random city in New Hampshire, you know, or something like that. You know, it's not like New York City or Sao Paulo or something. It's like a very obscure city that doesn't have a huge population. That would be very sketchy. So these are the main ways inside of Spotify for artists you can check. Now, another thing you can do, I don't think this song is on any playlists, but you could go and look at the specific playlist, and like if you're getting a ton of streams from a playlist that has no followers, that's also weird, but there's not too much you can check on that front. Now I want to show you a tool you can use that's going to make this a lot easier for you. And I'm going to pull this up. This is called artist.tools. And they're not sponsoring this video. They did give me a free account, and I do have an affiliate link in the description. But they're not sponsoring this video. So they have no say in this. But they're a pretty cool platform. The reason why I think they make sense is because they're really cheap. They're only $15 a month. And you can do cool things like I can look up this playlist from my review of Moonstrive Media. So I did a review of Moonstrive Media a while back. I'll link to it up here. And I'll put a link in the description if you want to check them out. But this is one of the playlists that they got me on. And you see high quality, monthly listener estimate. So it's telling us roughly like how many people listen to this playlist. And healthy growth over the last 7 days. We can look at the maximum amount of time. So this is one downside to artist.tools compared to something like Chartmetric. Thing is, artist.tools is literally 90% cheaper than Chartmetric. So, but they're newer, so they don't have as much of a database in terms of how long data they have. But you can see like this all looks normal. And I did check this playlist in Chartmetric as well from multiple years past, and it looked good. So, you know, this is like furthers my confidence that my analysis of the Moonstrive Media playlist like looked good. This kind of furthers that because there's a little bit more data to back this up. So this is an example of a good playlist. And you can look up any playlist you want. Now, if they don't have any history of it, they'll start tracking it then, and then you can watch it over time. So, but it's really cool just to get a quick analysis of, especially if they already have data on it. But what you can also do on this tool is look up a playlist that's bad, right? And so big shout out to Gentleman Brawlers who on a call were asking me like, is there any way for you to tell if these playlists that we're on are fake? And so we looked up a couple, and I'm going to show you this one, Pop Rising here by Craft Playlists or Craft Hits. So a big shout out to Gentleman Brawlers. I'm going to put their link in the description for sharing this and being willing to get called out because they just thought they were hiring a legitimate company to do their playlisting, right? They didn't want to be on this fake crap, but they accidentally did. And a lot of artists have this happen to them. Like you and I, we're all just trying to promote our music in a legitimate way, and then we get added to something and it's like, this looks weird, you know? And then we're all pissed because you can't get your money back at that point. But this is the playlist, and we looked it up. And so the nice thing I like about Artist Tools is that it straight up just tells you fraudulent. Craft Hits or Craft Playlists just runs bots. You know, just and it doesn't take rocket science to notice it. We'll look at some more stats in a second. But we are 100% certain this playlist is botted. Playlist includes keyword at Craft Playlist, so they are on a database they have of playlist scams. They have less than 100 monthly listeners on this playlist of 75,000 followers, which that alone wouldn't be a bad thing. Like some playlists are just dead. But if we scroll down and look at the follower data, like this is weird, right? Like it just drops like 1,000 in a day and then like jumps back up and then drops 10,000 and then jumps back up, and it's just rock solid at this like 75,000 followers. There's just a lot of weird, like look at this. It's very binary in what's happening to it. And I did cross-check this with Chartmetric, and it gets even more sketchy the further back you look at it. But with artist.tools, you can easily figure this out. You don't have to interpret the data. They just straight up tell you if they think it's fraudulent, which is fun. But you can see all the playlists that this curator owns. And so you could go and easily see, like, you know, wow, okay, this is a sketchy company. I'm never going to use them again. Now, you can also use artist.tools as a playlist research tool. I'm not gonna harp on this, but you could come in here and I'll just use their example, type in Post Malone. Then it's going to go filter out and search for playlists with that, but you can also filter and enter some more stuff as well. And if there's any kind of email, like this playlist here for Loud Cult, they found an email address. For this one here, they found an Instagram. So when you open it up, you can go and find that contact information. It's Instagram account, hit them up and ask if you can get on it, and hopefully it'll be free. But just, spoiler alert, a lot of these people that have contact information are looking to get paid, essentially. So if you want to give Artist Tools a try, I do have a link in the description. They have a free plan and a paid plan, and I think it's really good for purposes like this, just looking up playlists to see if they're legit. If you want to avoid the whole playlisting thing in its entirety, you can check out my playlist right here about how to promote your music with Facebook ads. And if you prefer a more organized course for that, you can also check out my course right here. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.